Hello and welcome to the whole conversation. I'm Dr. Julie Krull here with Marian Head with the Revolutionary Agreements. And you can see that poster behind her. They're beautiful. There's 12 agreements, truth, acceptance, and gratitude. And I'm in such gratitude to have you here again today. We're going to tackle a heavy one, Marian. Let's tackle a heavy one. It doesn't have to be heavy. It doesn't have to be heavy. However, I think it's a really important one that when I react, I look within. So this is an important one because a lot of people, I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to, as a mental health professional of over 30 years, so many people, when they are reacting, we're looking outside of ourselves and we're blaming and projecting. And it's really an important practice and skill and resource to go within and see what this is. So I would love to hear you explain this one before we jump into some stories about it.
Okay. So this agreement is I agree to look within when I react. And what this means is that when we have a disproportionate reaction to someone else's words or behavior, it is almost certain that it's not about that other person, but if it's about me, if I'm the one having the disproportionate reaction. So what does that mean? Well, what that means is that what triggers me isn't about you, it's about me. It's something unresolved in me that, something I just haven't dealt with. And so I think I need to give an example because I'd rather do that than be abstract. The first time I saw the importance of this agreement was when my mother-in-law was visiting. And my mother-in-law and I had our challenges. But this time, she was so mean and so manipulative that I just went crazy. I didn't know what to do. I just felt such angst, and I thought, I'm going to have to leave the house. I need to have an excuse to go fly somewhere. I need to get away. I mean, it was a real flight reaction, you might say. Just get me out of here. Get me away from this horrible woman. And I even called, it's funny because I even called dial a prayer. I'm not even religious, but I called dial a prayer because I needed help. I've never felt like this before. I was just out of my mind angry about her meanness and manipulation. Now, at the time, we had a friend living with us who was a psychologist, like you, Julie. And she said to me, well, I can help you with this if you'd like. Oh, thank you, thank you. She said, if you can take a look at yourself. And I said, well, okay, what does that mean? Look at myself. She said, well, the way you're feeling about your mother-in-law, does that have anything to do with you? I mean, have you ever been mean, or are you mean or manipulative? And I said, well, no, I'm not. I'm a nice person. I'm kind. She said, well, ever? I mean, have you ever been mean or manipulative? Well, it didn't take me long. Yeah. Well, mean. I was really mean to my mother. Oh, yeah. I was not sugar and spice and everything nice to my mother when I was younger. And manipulative, yeah, I was a young manager, fairly young, like 21, and everybody I managed, and there were 40 of them, were older than me, and I didn't know how to manage, so I did a lot of manipulation. And she said, how did it feel? I said, it didn't feel very good. It still doesn't feel very good when I think about it. She said, well, that's it. So she is triggering in you the way you feel about yourself when you were mean and manipulative, even though that's not who you are today. It's kind of hanging around you. Well, I said, well, what do I do about it? She said, well, you don't have to do anything about it if you don't want to. Just noticing it is going to make a difference in your relationship with your mother-in-law. And she was absolutely right. The next day, there was no charge, none, no emotions around it at all, because it wasn't about her. And she said, if I want to, I could forgive myself. I could go through forgiveness. I could just accept me for the way I used to be and know that I've grown through it. There's a lot of things I can do with it, but it wasn't about her. So that's actually how this agreement came to be, out of that experience.
You know, it's a really good agreement, and that's a great example. It's not like a really good agreement, like it's better than any of the others, but this example is important. And so I want you to clarify, because
Sure.
if I'm listening to this, I might go, well, that wasn't a disproportionate reaction to somebody being especially mean and manipulative to you. And you had mentioned that it was felt worse than normal even. So what do you say to someone when they say, well, that's not disproportionate reaction. That's what would it be? Excusable. That's right. That's I would be too. What would you say to those people?
Well, here's what I've noticed. There are things um, that we don't like or abhor, like violence, for example. So I I don't um, I don't know how to explain this, Julie. It's like I cannot like violence and not go there and not get involved with that, but I don't get emotional about it.
Yeah.
If I get really like, oh my God, you know
I'm
what?
going
Then I would
crazy.
say
Mhm.
it would have to do with the violent part of me being triggered and the upset or the unresolved issues I have with my own level of violence. But I can look at different things and say, that is really bad. I mean, that is unethical. It is inappropriate. It's wrong. It should, that person needs help, all sorts of things. So it's not about not seeing or not discerning. It's
Mhm.
about, am I getting triggered? Am I getting the disproportion is the emotion?
Yes.
Then it has to do with me. I'm just,
Okay.
I followed it. It's just true. It's true for
Yeah.
me. I don't know. Is it true for you?
Yeah, because the Buddhist principle of equanimity, of keeping our calm and having that brings us to this place of clarity to manage all of these things coming with what's going on. So if we're triggered, and I love the word disproportionately, but if I'm having this emotional reaction that feels big, I need to look within, and I
Mm,
need to say, what is this? Where is this coming from? Why is this so big? So I do like that. I do agree with it, and I think that we can look at the most heinous atrocities on the planet and then go, yeah, I still have equanimity. I'm still I can be an activist, but I don't have to get really reacted and triggered
mhm, mhm.
to that. So do you have any other examples that might be helpful?
All the time. The simplest way to think about this one is that we are gifted with people who drop mirrors in front of us all the time. So whatever, on a little bit of a lighter scale, whatever we see in somebody that we really like is typically what we really like about ourselves.
Mm,
And what we see in somebody that we don't like, and especially if there's a big reaction, is typically what we don't like about ourselves.
yeah.
Um, I know that when I'm eating well, I'm not as critical of what my husband eats. When I'm not happy with my own diet, I am all over what he's eating when it's not what
Wow.
I think he should eat because it's not about him. When I'm taking care of myself, I'm content.
Yeah. That's an interesting way of looking at it, because that's a benign thing,
Yeah.
and that's very simple. So I like that. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. This revolutionary agreements is about relationships. And so this in the workplace, at home, in our families, in our community, this is an important piece. I have someone I'm thinking about someone in my life, and literally I've been harboring something, and I can't identify it. And it's taking me a while. Usually I can clear something like that really quickly. And this person, I know it's a mirror. I totally agree with you so much. And this person will say something, do something, send a text, whatever. And I always get this thing lately, and I I haven't got a clue of what that is. So I'm wondering if you have suggestions for us of what do we do? Like, I could talk to you and you could probably help me talk it through. I have another really good friend that if I would call her up, I could say, okay, I've got this thing, help me out. And what other ways can we really work through this look within piece?
Well, one of the activities that I do in my training programs has people make a list of 3 people that annoy them the most. And what are the behaviors that are annoying them? So that's the start. Like
Yep.
right away, people go, oh, this one, and this one. And then now what exactly is the behavior that annoys you? And then the next question is, do you ever do that in your entire life? Have you ever done that? And then how do you feel about that? And just going through that simple process can sometimes release it. And the next time you see that person, it's gone. That tension is gone. And Julie, I'd want to point out, you said that the agreements were about relationships. First, they're about the relationship with yourself. So these revolutionary agreements, they're with yourself. People sometimes say, well, what if my partner doesn't practice with these agreements? Then I say, then you need them even more.
Yeah.
So you need to practice them even more. But when it comes to relationships, looking within when I react is a way to resolve some relationship issues without even involving the other person.
Yeah.
So when there's an issue up like you have with somebody, if you can do that inner work, yeah, suddenly it's released, it's done. You don't even have a conflict.
Yeah. Great advice. Great advice. Just like with your mother-in-law, we can clear it without even them working with us to clear it.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah,
Yes,
thank you. I
you're welcome.
really appreciate you underlining, underscoring with ourself. This is about our relationship with ourself, so we can enhance our relationship with all things, the earth and all living beings on this planet, right?
For the good of the whole.
For the good of the whole. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Marian. I think this is such wisdom for our times, and boy, we really need this. So thank you for being with me today and sharing this agreement.
Thank you for allowing me to do it, Julie. It's just such a joy to have people using these agreements all over and feeling great about their lives and
Oh
their
yeah.
relationship. Yeah,
Amen. Amen. Oh, thanks, Marian. We'll see you
sure.
next time.
Bye for now.
Bye bye.